It was the year 2017 when astronomers spotted a bright star hurtling out of the Milky Way. It was moving incredibly fast at a speed of 2 million miles per hour. That's almost 4 times as fast as the Sun orbits around the center of our home Milky Way galaxy. It takes our star more than 225 million years to complete one journey. Anyway, back to our star, the Wanderer. The main issue with it was that it was moving against the direction in which most stars travel around the center of our galaxy. Even more bizarre, it consisted of totally different star stuff. Astronomers managed to identify its composition. The star was made up of heavy metallic atoms. At the same time, most of the other stars consist of way lighter elements. The wandering star got the name LP-40-365. It was moving so fast that it literally dashed out of our galaxy. This made scientists believe that the space traveler was pushed out of its place by some kind of cosmic disaster, like a supernova. A supernova is the largest explosion that can take place in space, an explosion of a star. It happens after irreversible changes start in the core of a star. Supernovas can occur in 2 ways: in binary star systems and when there's a single star. Binary stars are 2 stars orbiting around the same center. At some moment, one of the stars, a very dense white dwarf, starts stealing matter from its companion. After some time, this thief accumulates too much matter, which causes it to explode into a supernova. Or it can be a single star nearing the end of its life. It's running out of its fuel. More and more mass is flowing into the core of the star. In the end, the core becomes so heavy that it fails to withstand its own gravity. After the core collapses, a tremendous amount of energy is released in a supernova. But astronomers still can't figure out how a supernova could send LP-40-365 flying. There are more questions than answers. Was it a companion star that got flung out by a shockwave created by a supernova? Or was it a piece of the exploded star? A new study based on the collected data has shown that the star, which is a white dwarf, keeps slowly rotating around its axis. Astronomers are almost sure it means LP-40-365 is indeed just a chunk of space debris, and not a full-fledged star. This wandering piece somehow managed to survive one of the fiercest space events. But after making such a conclusion, scientists realize something amazing. LP-40-365's unusual features could appear after the star witnessed a supernova. Even though this event happened lightning fast, the entire makeup of the star got changed. Most stars consist mainly of helium and hydrogen, but LP-40-365 is different. It contains such heavy elements as magnesium, oxygen, and neon. It must have been the supernova that added these atoms to the star's composition. By the way, astronomers consider all elements that are heavier than helium to be metals. This means that after witnessing the supernova, LP-40-365 became metallic. Right now, the star doesn't have its own planets, but NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite, which is on the lookout for distant planets passing in front of their host stars and dimming them, has noticed a curious thing. LP-40-365 brightens and then dims again every 8.9 hours. It might mean that the star pulsates, but usually stellar pulsations are much less regular. A more plausible explanation is that the star's surface is uneven, and as it spins, sunspots are brought into and out of view. And it's great news, because after astronomers figure out how fast the star rotates, they can understand what happened to it around 5 million years ago during the supernova. Bright blue exoplanet HD 189733b looks peaceful and eerily familiar. Doesn't it resemble Earth? But this appearance conceals the planet's terrifying nature. There, the winds blow at 5,400 miles per hour. It's 7 times the speed of sound. But that's not the worst. It rains glass, sideways, in this scorching hot world. Neutron stars are ultra-dense collapsed cores of giant stars. They emit X-rays or radio waves. But in 2018, astronomers discovered a weird stream of infrared light. It seemed to be coming from a neutron star 800 light-years away from our planet. The most plausible theory is that this signal was probably produced by a disk of dust surrounding the star, but there isn't enough evidence to confirm this idea. Mercury is the fastest planet in the solar system. It zips around the Sun at a breakneck speed of more than 100,000 miles per hour. That's around 40,000 miles per hour faster than our home planet. It's one of the reasons why a year on Mercury equals 88 days on Earth. Mercury is the planet that orbits the closest to the Sun. That's why if you were standing on its surface at its closest approach to our star, the Sun would look more than 3 times as large as it does on Earth. The Black Widow pulsar is a rotating neutron star that is munching on its partner, which is a lightweight brown dwarf star. The more material the pulsar consumes, the more slowly it spins. The energy the neutron star is losing in the process causes the companion star to dwindle. There's a stellar nursery in the constellation Centaurus, and even though this place is called a nursery, it's anything but peaceful or safe. It's made up of hydrogen and newborn stars and is located in a nebula around 6,500 light-years away from Earth. A nebula is a giant cloud of gas and dust floating in space. The intense energy baby stars emit makes hydrogen clouds glow ominous red. This energy is so powerful, it's eating away dark clouds of dust. Astronomers can see them disappear like lumps of butter on a hot frying pan. Faraway Neptune-sized exoplanet Gliese 436b is a paradox. It's made of scorching hot ice, and this ice is burning. The planet completes one full orbit around the red dwarf Gliese 436 in just 2 days. It means the exoplanet travels very close to its parent star. That might be the reason why the planet's temperatures rarely drop below 800 degrees Fahrenheit. But the strangest thing? The planet hosts huge volumes of water ice known as Ice X. And this ice remains solid despite such incredibly high temperatures. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. It's 318 times as massive as Earth. It's also 2.5 times as massive as all other planets of the solar system combined. But here's a paradox. If this gas giant got even more massive, it'd actually become smaller. The added mass would make the planet denser, and this would cause it to start pulling in on itself. Astronomers claim that Jupiter can eventually end up being 4 times as massive as it is now. But at the same time, its size won't change. DGSAT-1 galaxy is as big as the Milky Way, but it's nearly invisible because its stars are spread out incredibly thin. But what makes the galaxy so unique is that it's sitting all alone, unlike other galaxies of this kind. Those are usually found in clusters. It can mean that DGSAT-1 was formed in a different era, probably a mere 1 billion years after the Big Bang. If it's true, the galaxy is a real living fossil. Saturn's moon, Hyperion, is one of the most bizarre-looking moons in the solar system. But the appearance isn't the strangest thing about this space body. The pumice stone-like rock is pockmarked with countless craters, and it's also charged with static electricity, which is flowing out into space. About 4,000 light-years away from Earth, there's a planet that seems to be one enormous diamond. The planet is denser than any other discovered so far and consists mostly of carbon. It's so dense that astronomers think this carbon might be crystalline. It means that at least some part of the planet is diamond. Ceres is the most massive space body in the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars. It totals almost a third of the entire mass of the whole belt. But at the same time, Ceres is the tiniest of the dwarf planets out there. It's also the only dwarf planet that dwells in the asteroid belt, and also the only one that is located in the inner solar system. Astronomers sometimes call Jupiter a failed star. The gas giant indeed contains a lot of helium and hydrogen. But its mass isn't enough to start a fusion reaction in its core. And that's exactly how stars produce energy. They fuse the atoms of hydrogen together under extreme pressure and heat and create helium. In the process, they also release light and heat. Jupiter could start a nuclear reaction and become a star only if it was 70 times its current mass. Space is completely, eerily silent. That's because in the vacuum of space, there's no atmosphere, and the sound waves need some medium to travel through. That's why worlds with atmospheres like Earth are full of noise. Unlike their massive siblings, hypothetical mini black holes could be really tiny, not bigger than an atom. Even so, just one minuscule thing would have enough mass of 1,000 sedans. One theory claims that tons of micro-black holes could be created right after the Big Bang. Some scientists even go so far as to say that a couple of mini black holes pass through our planet every day. Every hour, the sun sends more energy to Earth than our planet uses in a year. Even though people are now using much more solar energy than a decade ago, it's still a mere 0.7% of the world's annual electricity usage. There might be moons orbiting other moons, but astronomers haven't agreed on this theory yet. Planets orbit stars, moons orbit planets. But why can't there be moons, also known as submoons, moonettes, and moons? Researchers claim that moons could exist, but the host moon has to be massive enough and the moon small enough. There must also be a large distance between these moons and the host planet. Jupiter is the most massive planet in the solar system. This means its gravity is also the most intense. It's 2.5 times as great as what we have on our home planet. Once, the gas giant's gravity even tore apart a large comet called Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9. Then the planet eagerly swallowed the chunks of the former comet. If you were standing at the equator on Mars, the temperature at your feet would feel like that of a warm spring day, but your head would be literally freezing. Lost in space and drifting through galaxies, rogue planets were once flung away from their parent stars, but one of them, floating 200 light-years away from Earth, is different from the rest. It's a planet-sized object with a magnetic field 200 times stronger than that of Jupiter. This field is so powerful that it generates never-ending flashing auroras in the planet's atmosphere. Europa is one of Jupiter's largest moons, even though it's smaller than Earth's moon. But the cool thing about this satellite of the gas giant is that it's covered with ice. And some of this ice is smooth, which means you could skate there. And a 3-foot axle jump you can perform on our planet would take you 22 feet into the air. At the same time, the landing speed on Europa would be the same as it is on Earth. Haumea, a dwarf planet orbiting the Kuiper Belt, has a bizarre elongated shape and 2 moons. The day on this planet lasts 4 hours, making it the fastest spinning large object in the solar system. But the most mysterious thing about Haumea is that the planet has a thin 40-mile-wide ring circling it. Astronomers haven't managed to figure out how or why it appeared around the dwarf planet. 11 Earths could fit across the equator of Jupiter, and if our planet was the size of a grape, the gas giant would be as large as a basketball. 9 spacecraft have already visited Jupiter. 7 of them just flew by, and 2 orbited the huge planet. The most recent of them, Juno, arrived at Jupiter in 2016. The craters of the moon's south pole are likely to be the frostiest place in the whole solar system. The craters' floors are always in the shadow. That's why the temperature never rises above 397 degrees Fahrenheit, even during the day. If you decided to fly a plane to Pluto, your journey would take around 800 years. You'll find the highest mountain in the solar system on an asteroid called Vesta. Its peak rises 14 miles above the base of the mountain. This makes Rhy Silvia, that's what the mountain is called, almost 3 times taller than Everest. Saturn's rings weren't discovered all at once. It happened gradually. That's why they were named alphabetically in the order scientists found them. Now they go like this: D, C, B, A, F, G, and E. A day on Venus is around 243 Earth days long. But the bad news is that you'd have to wait for a weekend for 3 years. All because a day on Venus is longer than its year. A solar phenomenon called terminator events is taking place at the sun's equator. Disastrous magnetic field collisions seem to cause ginormous twin tsunamis of plasma. These tsunamis tear across the star's surface, moving at a speed of 1,000 feet per second. They can last for weeks at a time and happen almost every decade. The winds on Neptune are the fastest in our solar system. Most of them can reach the speed of 1,600 miles per hour. Almost any of these enormous storms could easily swallow our entire planet. The 18th brightest star in the night sky, Fomalhaut, is a terrifying sight. It's dubbed the Eye of Sauron because a ring of dust and debris circling it makes it look like a giant eye staring into your soul. The intimidating star is more than twice the mass of our Sun and is 25 light-years away from Earth, which isn't that far away considering distances in space. Mars has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. In the next 30 to 50 million years, the planet's gravitational forces will tear Phobos apart. It'll probably result in the formation of a ring around Mars. An asteroid the size of a car enters the atmosphere of our planet every year. Such an intruder could wipe out a small town off the face of the Earth. Dust and smoke would rise into the atmosphere, preventing sunlight from reaching the surface of the planet. It would cause the temperatures all over the world to drop and the climate would change. Luckily, such asteroids burn in the atmosphere before they even come close to the surface. The radio signal produced by a spacecraft when it contacts Earth is less powerful than a light bulb in your fridge. By the time this signal reaches our planet, its power is only 1/1000th of a watt. No wonder that antennas gathering these super weak signals are huge. The Deep Space Network that detects signals from spacecraft has dish antennas that measure up to 230 feet across. That's more than the width of a soccer field. In 1999, NASA lost a Mars orbiter because one engineering team was using the metric system, and another was doing calculations with the help of the imperial system. Nebulas are giant clouds of gas and dust. With time, gravity starts to pull these clumps of dust and gas together. They grow larger and larger. And their gravity gets more powerful. One day, a nebula's mass becomes so great that it collapses under its own gravity and forms a new star. Around 4,000 light-years away, in the constellation of Scorpion, there is the Butterfly Nebula. Its wingspan is greater than 3 light-years, and the structure inside the nebula is one of the most complicated ever observed. The nebula's central star, a white dwarf, is heated to an insane 450,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This means it was formed from another huge star, likely more than 5 times the size of our Sun. The white dwarf is surrounded by a thick disk of dust and gas at the equator. That's what probably makes the whole structure look like an hourglass, or a butterfly. If you decided to lump together all the known asteroids in the solar system, their total mass wouldn't exceed even 10% of the mass of our Moon. A cloud of water vapor is floating in space. It surrounds a supermassive black hole 12 billion light-years away from Earth. The cloud contains 140 trillion times the entire volume of water on our planet. Astronomers think this water cloud appeared just 1.6 billion years later than the universe itself. The densest objects in space are neutron stars. They're the size of a small city, yet their mass is about 1.4 times the mass of our Sun. A single teaspoon of neutron star material would weigh 1 billion tons. And a neutron star's gravity is 2 billion times stronger than the gravity of our planet. In 1993, the Galileo probe was traveling past a miniature asteroid. It was no more than 20 miles across, and still, the tiny thing had a 1-mile-wide moon. Astronomers have discovered tons of moons orbiting minor planets in the solar system since then. We live inside the Sun. The star's atmosphere stretches way beyond its visible surface, and our planet is well within its reach. That's how the gust of the solar wind creates such a breathtaking phenomenon as the northern and southern lights.
So, we might be getting closer to finding a massive icy planet beyond Neptune's orbit. Sorry Pluto, still not you. Recently, some universe mapping using data from a telescope in Hawaii eliminated about 78% of the possible locations for this mysterious Waldo from space. Some people call it Planet 9, while others prefer Planet X. Either way, it's been causing controversy since its existence was first proposed, and that is mainly because no study so far can answer the big question: does it really exist? If discovered, Planet 9 would rank as the fifth largest planet in our solar system, with a mass 10 times that of Earth. It's also theorized to be gaseous, like Uranus. The initial study on Planet 9, dating back to 2016, suggests that this colossal new planet orbits the Sun 29 times farther out than Neptune, which sits at about 2.8 billion miles. As a result, the Planet 9 would take between 10,000 and 20,000 years to complete a single orbit around the Sun. If confirmed, this yet-to-be-understood world would dominate a region larger than any other known planet in our cosmic neighborhood. These are all intriguing hypotheses, but without a single piece of evidence or observation to back them up. Before dismissing this as a wild guess, it is important to note that these researchers relied on complex mathematical modeling and computer simulations to speculate about the planet's characteristics, because that's what they do. The hypothetical presence of this planet would explain various mysterious features located beyond Neptune. We are specifically talking about the Kuiper Belt, a huge donut-shaped region filled with icy debris left over from the formation of the solar system, including comets and dwarf planets like Pluto. What happens is that the 6 farthest objects in the Kuiper Belt exhibit elliptical orbits that are all oriented in a similar direction within physical space and tilted approximately 30 degrees downward relative to the orbital plane of our 8 known planets. What's strange here is that, despite their distinct orbital velocities around the solar system, they maintain this alignment. The likelihood of such alignment occurring randomly is extremely low, around 0.007%. So, here comes Planet 9, a hypothetical massive celestial body that offers a plausible explanation for this strange phenomenon, potentially exerting gravitational influence to shape these orbits. The initial theory didn't hold up for long, facing accusations of observational bias and calculation errors. Then, in 2017, another study popped up, sparking back the idea that maybe Planet 9 is out there after all. This time, Spanish astronomers tried a novel approach, focusing on observing extreme trans-Neptunian objects. These celestial bodies orbit the Sun in highly stretched elliptical paths, with average distances exceeding 13 billion miles. The research suggests that the distances between these objects' nodes and the Sun might provide clues to Planet 9's location. You see, these nodes are the points where a celestial body's orbit intersects the solar system's plane. When these objects reach these points, they're more likely to interact with other solar system bodies, potentially causing significant changes in their orbits or even collisions. So, if the trajectory of these extreme trans-Neptunian objects remains stable, everything's fine. But if it's not, well, that's a sign that something else, something big, is messing with their path. And that's exactly what the research found. There is something unseen out there, throwing these objects off course. And that something could be a planet, chilling at a distance between 300 to 400 times farther from the Sun than Earth. To this day, the study of the extreme trans-Neptunian objects is the strongest evidence we've got for Planet 9's existence. And if you're still not convinced by this theory, know that strange motions like these have led to planetary discoveries before. Neptune, for instance, was spotted because Uranus's motion didn't quite agree with the predictions of Newtonian gravity. But the deflection of its orbit could be explained if it was caused by a pull of an undiscovered planet. And just like that, we discovered Neptune. Now, the year is 2021, and there's all this buzz about Planet 9 again. After correcting some old guesses, studies are now leaning towards the idea that this mystery world follows an epic loop around the Sun every 7,000 years. That is massive news, because it means this planet might be closer than we ever thought, making it easier for our telescopes to spot it. The paper also suggests there is a whopping 99% chance that the funky orbits of these distant objects are all because of this unseen planet, not just some cosmic coincidence. Now, the odds of this whole situation being a fluke are down to a 1 in 250 chance, which is much better than the 1 in 10,000 chance back in 2016. All these optimistic numbers have brought us to where we are today, keeping our hopes and working on better equipment to continue the mission of spotting Planet 9. As mentioned earlier, researchers in Hawaii created some kind of treasure map utilizing the Panoramic Survey Telescope and Rapid Response System to eliminate 78% of its locations. This is great news, considering how challenging it is to find a planet-sized needle in a cosmic haystack. But unfortunately, Planet 9's presence remains a ghost in the dark outer reaches of our solar system. Enthusiasts are still convinced of its existence and believe it is only a matter of time before we celebrate the discovery of Earth's new cosmic cousin. They're putting their hopes on the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, which is currently under construction in Chile and is scheduled to begin science operations in late 2025. Over the course of 10 years, this observatory will scan the entire southern hemisphere sky every few nights with a 27-foot, fast-moving telescope equipped with the largest digital camera in the world. The idea is to catalog everything in the solar system, reaching out to and beyond Neptune, and tracking the movements of millions of celestial objects, including space junk, asteroids, comets, and stars. If Planet 9 is indeed out there, this next-generation telescope could be the one to find it. The existence of this mysterious planet is far from being universally accepted in the scientific community. That is simply because Planet 9 isn't the only explanation for the strange phenomenon occurring beyond Neptune. One theory suggests that a group of distant objects, such as dwarf planets, comets, and moons, might be collectively influencing the orbits of the extreme trans-Neptunian objects. Others believe that a black hole is behind all this. These compressed masses are some of the densest objects in the universe, potentially capable of affecting the orbits of other masses, like how this supposed ghost Planet 9 is believed to be doing. Another bold perspective suggests that our current understanding of the laws of gravity is flawed, actually incomplete. This theory, known as modified Newtonian dynamics, proposes that these distant icy objects exhibit strange behavior not due to influence from another planet, but rather because the immense gravitational field of the Milky Way is influencing them. However, even supporters of this theory acknowledge that it is too early to draw firm conclusions, and much more extensive research is still required. While we continue our relentless hunt for Planet 9, some astronomers have taken it a step further, suggesting the existence of a hypothetical Planet 10. This world has a mass and size like that of Mars or Earth and is located on the edges of the Kuiper Belt. But the thing is, if this alleged Planet 10 is indeed as small as scientists believe, it might not have enough gravity to clear its orbit of debris. And that is pretty similar to what happens with Pluto, being one of the reasons why it got into trouble back in 2006. So yeah, it's better not to get too excited. This supposed Planet 10 might end up classified as another dwarf planet. Let's see, there's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Phaeton, Jupiter. Wait, hold on. What Phaeton am I talking about? Well, let's see. It was the beginning of the 19th century, and the asteroid belt hadn't been discovered yet. In the year 1801, one man named Giuseppe Piazzi spotted the largest asteroid in the solar system, Ceres. At that time, people believed that there was a planet orbiting between Mars and Jupiter, and Ceres seemed to fit the bill. But the next year, another astronomer, Heinrich Olbers, found one more space body following a similar orbit. It was an asteroid which was later called Pallas. This discovery helped Olbers to figure out that these two space objects could be fragments of a planet. The discovery of two more asteroids, Vesta and Juno, seemed to confirm this theory. It was believed that the planet, which was named Phaeton in the 20th century, appeared in the early days of the solar system and was later destroyed, and its debris formed the asteroid belt. Olber's idea was called the disruption theory. To astronomers at that time, it seemed obvious that the planet once collided with a large space object, which led to its demise. The most likely candidate was Nemesis, a hypothetical red or brown dwarf orbiting our Sun. Another theory claimed that Phaeton could have gone through an internal cataclysm, which could have broken the planet into pieces. There was one more idea. Phaeton could have come too close to Jupiter and got torn apart by the gas giant's immense gravity. These days, though, astronomers don't believe in the disruption theory anymore. A new idea has replaced it. It's known as the accretion theory. It claims that the asteroid belt is all that is left of the protoplanetary disk. Supposedly, this disk had been originally orbiting the Sun, even before the planets formed. Unfortunately, because of Jupiter's gravitational forces, it never managed to coalesce into a planet. But what is this asteroid belt we keep talking about? This region is located between the orbits of Jupiter and Mars. Tons of asteroids and even minor planets are found there. Some of them can sometimes migrate or even get thrown out of the asteroid belt to the outer solar system. The four largest asteroids in that area are Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, and Hygeia. They make up half the mass of the entire belt. As for the rest of the mass, countless smaller bodies make up for it. In loads of sci-fi movies about space, the main character gets into an asteroid belt and has to try hard to get away from countless rocks threatening to smash their spacecraft. Well, it has nothing to do with the real thing. Even though there are thousands of asteroids in this region, they're so widely spaced that the chance of collision is next to nothing. Hey, but it's a movie, right? Anyway, when the asteroid belt was forming, some objects started to come together and form what we know as protoplanets. But the gravitational pull that was caused by the formation of Jupiter made such collisions too rough, and instead of forming large space bodies like planets, asteroids shuddered. Astronomers think that as a result of such collisions, more than 99.99% of the original mass of the asteroid belt was lost in the first 100 million years of the history of the solar system. Only the largest asteroids have enough gravity to get a spherical shape. Small ones are just often piles of rubble, loosely held together by gravity. And the tiniest objects in the asteroid belt resemble dust, so small they are. And all these objects, giant and tiny, orbit the Sun. There are several types of asteroids, depending on their composition and albedo, which is the proportion of light or radiation reflected by a surface. The main types are carbon asteroids, which have a very dark surface, silicon ones, you can also call them stone asteroids, and metal ones. The first two types account for around 75% and 17% of asteroids that we know about. For the first time, the asteroid belt was crossed by a spacecraft in 1972. It was the Pioneer 10 space probe. The spaceship managed to refute the theory that the belt was filled with dust that could easily damage all gadgets on board. It didn't happen. And since that time, 8 more probes have traveled through the asteroid belt. And now, I'm going to tell you some cool facts about the solar system itself. Try to count how many of these facts you've known before and write your answer down in the comments below. The solar system is a staggering 4.5 billion years old. Scientists came to this conclusion after studying meteorites, the oldest material they managed to find. But our solar system isn't the only one in the Milky Way galaxy. The galaxy we live in houses about 100 billion star systems. And if it's just our galaxy alone, what can we say about the whole universe? Now, our Sun is also insanely massive. Here's the proof. 99.86% of all the mass of the solar system is the mass of the Sun, in particular hydrogen and helium that it's made of. The remaining 0.14% is mostly the mass of the solar system's 8 planets. Oh, by the way, contrary to popular misconception, outer space isn't a perfect vacuum. It contains not only stars and planets, but also clouds of interstellar dust, space plasma, and cosmic rays. Those are atom fragments dashing from the outskirts of the solar system. Now, one phenomenon astronauts should worry about while exploring space is cold welding. If two pieces of the same kind of metal touch in space, they bond and get permanently stuck together, kind of like galaxy glue. It doesn't happen on Earth since water and air keep pieces separate. You can see solar eclipses even though the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. It's also 400 times closer to Earth, so it's perfectly capable of obscuring the star. But in 600 million years, the moon won't be able to block the sun completely because of the satellite's changing orbit. Behind the orbit of Neptune, there is the mysterious Kuiper Belt, filled with massy icy objects. The most curious thing about this space formation, though, is that the scientists fail to explain the pattern of its movement. The only explanation they have is that Neptune might be hiding a ginormous planet. This hypothetical planet has already got the name Planet 9, and all we have to do is wait until its existence is confirmed, or not. The ocean on Jupiter is larger than any body of water on other planets of the solar system. But it's not the ocean you think about. The one on Jupiter isn't made of water. This mesmerizing thing consists of metallic hydrogen, and its depth is around 25,000 miles, which is actually almost the same as the circumference of Earth. Now, people got to know about beautiful Saturn's rings in the 1600s, but now we know that Saturn isn't the only ringed planet. All the giant gas planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Jupiter, have rings of their own, but they're thin and almost impossible to see. As for Mars, Venus, and Earth, they're made of rocky material and have no rings. At the same time, Saturn's moon Rhea might have a ring system consisting of 3 narrow bands. If astronomers manage to confirm it, it'll be the first time for people to discover rings around a moon. Oh, and Mars might get a set of rings of its own in the next 70 million years. The red planet's largest moon, called Phobos, is orbiting closer and closer to the planet. One day it's likely to get broken apart by the gravitational pull of the red planet and turn into a ring that can last for millions of years. And another cool fact about Mars. You've probably heard of methane gas, a byproduct of such natural processes as volcanic activity and cow emissions. Anyways, this gas is not only a part of the Martian atmosphere, but also the thing that confuses astronomers to no end. The thing is that the volume of methane on Mars keeps wavering, and scientists just can't figure out where it might be coming from. Can there be life on Mars? Can there be cows on Mars?
Alright, dear viewer, let's lay it out on the table. The case is cold, just like the rock we're looking for. It's that hypothetical planet again, a real slippery character, warping orbits from the shadows. I've been following its gravitational rap sheet for years. It has left a trail of math miscalculations and confused astronomers. But it can't hide forever. This solar system ain't that big. If it's there, we will find Planet Y. Yep, another day, another quest to solve the solar system's riddles. New research points to another hidden world. I have to say, we shouldn't dismiss these theories until they're disproven. Scientists these days are overloaded with a vast amount of data. Thankfully, they have supercomputers going through mountains of equations bound to give a headache to someone like me. But it's how these theories come to exist. At one point, even Neptune seemed like a far-fetched theory. When Uranus was discovered in 1781 by William Herschel, for decades, it looked like the solar system's final stop. But Uranus didn't quite follow the rules. Something was off. Either the laws were wrong or there was an invisible hand out there. Two math nerds, Adams in England and Leverrier in France, picked up the abacus, and there it was. Neptune appeared exactly where predicted. That's a cool point for math. That triumph inspired the next hunt. In the early 1900s, Percival Lowell became hooked on the Planet X theory. He was sure Uranus and Neptune were still wobbling funny, so he pictured a giant mystery world yanking their strings. His team hunted for years. And in 1930, Clyde Tombaugh found Pluto. Pluto is Planet X? Nope, not so fast. Pluto was too small, it didn't fit. The hype faded, and decades later, Voyager 2 showed that weird orbits made sense all along. Planet X, at least Lowell's version, had never existed. Then came Planet 9. In 2016, researchers noticed that distant Kuiper Belt objects weren't scattered randomly. Their orbits clustered strangely, as if something was tugging them into line. They proposed a super-Earth, 5 to 10 times Earth's mass, orbiting hundreds of AU away. Simulations made it look convincing, but no one has seen it yet. A later discovery, a dwarf planet called 2017 OF201, made things even weirder. Some say it weakens the case for Planet 9. Others say it's more evidence. For now, Planet 9 is still a maybe. However, latest research points to another possible candidate, for now called Planet Y. Unlike the others, it's thought to be smaller, closer in size to Earth or Mercury, and hiding just past the Kuiper Belt. Here's the big clue. Way past Neptune, some icy objects are all tilted, like a bunch of marbles moving to the same side while on a flat surface. That shouldn't happen. Gravity should have straightened them out ages ago. The simplest explanation? A hidden planet, quietly warping the outer solar system like a mischievous babysitter. Astronomers check those Kuiper Belt orbits against the solar system's invariable plane, basically the balance point of all the planets combined. If things were normal, the orbits should line up, but they don't. They're all slanted the same way, like a bunch of pencils dropped on the floor, and somehow every single one points toward the same corner. According to researchers, the odds of that happening by chance are only 2 to 4%. That's similar to flipping a coin 5 times in a row and it landing on the same side each time. Astrophysicists ran their fancy calculations and came up with the simplest explanation. You guessed it, another object with strong gravity. The math shows that a world somewhere between the size of Mercury and Earth, orbiting 100 to 200 AU from the Sun, could maintain that tilt. Not too big, not too small, not too far, just the right size and distance to warp the Kuiper Belt without throwing everything else into chaos. And here's where it gets fun. In theory, Planet Y could coexist with Planet 9. Planet 9 is supposed to pull icy orbits into clusters, kind of like a sheepdog rounding up sheep. Planet Y doesn't cluster anything. It tilts the whole playing field instead, which means if both turn out to be real, we might have 2 hidden planets shaping the edges of our solar system in different ways. So why haven't we seen this mysterious neighbor yet? Simple, it's faint. At 100 to 200 AU, sunlight is thousands of times weaker than here on Earth. A planet that far away could only reflect a tiny trickle of light. To our telescopes, it would look like a barely visible speck drifting across a crowded star field. Kind of like trying to spot a sleeping gray cat in a dark cellar with only faint moonlight coming through the window. It doesn't help that Planet Y would move at a snail's pace across the sky. Snap a photo one year and another a few months later, and it might not even look like it moved. Older sky surveys weren't designed to catch something that faint and slow. They're great for spotting fast-moving asteroids near Earth, but hopeless for a dim tortoise crawling at the edge of the solar system. But the hunt isn't over. Astronomers are putting their hopes on the Vera Rubin Observatory. This massive new telescope will take pictures of the night sky in unprecedented detail. If Planet Y is out there, Rubin could be the one to find it. And if it isn't, well, Rubin will give us the best proof yet that it doesn't exist. Who knows, maybe it spots something entirely different. But what if Planet Y is real? Where did it come from? Perhaps it's a leftover chunk from the solar system's wild early years. Billions of years ago, when Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune were still migrating, massive chunks of rock and ice were flung around like cosmic bumper cars. Some merged to become the planets we know today. Others were kicked out entirely, ejected into interstellar space. Planet Y might be one of the lucky survivors, massive enough to hang on in a stable orbit at the fringes. Another possibility is way cooler. Maybe it's a rogue planet. Planet Y might just be the cosmic equivalent of an adopted kid or a wandering stray that found a home. So what would it mean if Planet Y was real? First, it would mean a lot of textbooks getting another edition. New picture books as well. It would also challenge how we think planets form. A Mercury to Earth mass that far doesn't fit the standard model of planets forming near the Sun and staying put. Either the early solar system was wild enough to fling it outward and still keep it bound, or it didn't start here at all and was captured later, stolen from another star. There's another angle: comets. A planet out there could tug on icy bodies at the edge of the solar system, nudging some inward. Over time, that might even have helped deliver water and building blocks for life to Earth, but that's just speculation at this point. However, the biggest question of all would be, what else is out there? If a planet the size of Earth can still slip under our radar, then smaller worlds, icy dwarfs, and other mysteries could be waiting farther out. The Oort cloud might be home to things we haven't even dreamed of yet. Finding Planet Y wouldn't just add a planet, it would open a new chapter in exploring the solar system. So, here we are at the edge of the map, where the streetlights of our solar system flicker out. It's just another theory on top of a dusty desk. Another clue to chase down a dark universe. Some leads have gone cold and turned out to be ghosts. Others, still out there, waiting to be found. Planet Y? The case is still wide open, but one thing's for sure in our solar system: as long as the orbits keep wobbling and the cosmic rug stays wrinkled, astronomers, they'll keep looking. They'll never stop searching for the last planet hiding in the endless dark. Maybe it's just a matter of time. We will see.
So this thing, Cosmos 482, a high-tech capsule, was built to survive even the most extreme heat of another planet. But something went wrong. It never made it out of Earth's orbit. For over 50 years, it drifted silently around the planet, forgotten until now. In May 2025, gravity finally pulled it down. It's coming home, built to survive re-entry and unpredictable enough to crash anywhere. No warning, no parachute. Just a 1,000-pound sphere falling from the sky, a human-made meteorite capable of causing chaos. In 1972, this funny-looking ball was sent on a Venus-bound mission. Now, Venus is like Earth's evil twin. It's similar in size, but that's where the similarity ends. It's the hottest planet in the solar system, where temperatures reach 860 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. Atmospheric pressure is about 93 times greater than Earth's, which is like being 3,000 feet underwater and you feel like you're in a trash compactor. And the atmosphere itself is made of carbon dioxide, with clouds that literally rain sulfuric acid. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Yet Cosmos 482 was fully expected to reach it and land. Not for long though. A type of self-destruct scouting mission. The spacecraft was designed to land and transmit data, hopefully for at least a few minutes, on the surface that crushes, bakes, and basically dissolves anything that touches it. How? Well, it came with heat shields for the fiery plunge, a mini AC to cool just long enough, and armor tough enough to handle Venus's brutal environment. It was truly a high-tech reinforced vault built for a one-way trip. And this was in the early 70s, mind you. Fun fact, even today, we've never built anything that could survive that kind of environment. We have deep-sea submersibles that can handle big-time pressure, but not the heat. There are space capsules that can withstand extreme temperatures, but only for a few minutes. Even nuclear reactor walls, designed to handle serious pressure, would crumble if acid rained on them nonstop. Now, a funny twist of this story is that landing on Venus was already achieved in 1970. Venera 7 became the first spacecraft to land on another planet and transmit data back to Earth, surviving on Venus's surface for a full 23 minutes before melting down. It proved the impossible was possible, just not for Cosmos 482. So, what went wrong with Cosmos 482? We've always imagined space travel as firing up the spaceship, launching it, and that's it. However, that's not how it works. First, with an initial boost, you park it in Earth's orbit, like pulling into space's driveway. Then comes a second burn, a precisely timed engine firing that pushes the spacecraft out of orbit and toward its destination. Cosmos 482 made it to the parking orbit just fine, but something went wrong with the second push. No push means no trip, so instead of heading to Venus, it got stuck circling Earth for the next 50 years. But why does something get stuck orbiting for so long? Well, when something gets launched into space, it's not just going up. It's also going really fast sideways. If you throw a baseball up hard enough, it'll eventually hit the ground. But if you could throw it fast enough and Earth wasn't in the way, it would just keep falling around the planet. That's what orbiting means, falling but never hitting the ground. The object's forward speed balances perfectly with the gravity pulling it down. So, to leave Earth, a spacecraft needs to pass through 3 layers. The first is low Earth orbit, or LEO, a few hundred miles up. Here is where satellites, the space station, and tons of leftover junk circle the planet. Cosmos never made it past this point. If the second launch had been successful, it would have gone through medium Earth orbit, where GPS satellites cruise. Then, way out at 22,000 miles, there's geostationary orbit, the sweet spot for weather reports and TV. So now we know how Cosmos ended up there and why it was orbiting for so long in LEO. But what made it suddenly change its mind and fall back? Even in LEO, space isn't completely empty. There's still a tiny bit of atmosphere up there, and over time, it acts like a brake, slowing things down just enough. Think back to that baseball you threw sideways fast enough to orbit Earth. Eventually, it will slow down to the point where gravity takes over. However, Earth is securely protected by its atmosphere. As objects fall back to Earth, their speed keeps increasing up to tens of thousands of miles per hour. When you're moving that fast, the air pushes back really hard. That push creates friction, and friction creates heat, a lot of it. The surface of falling objects can reach over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, causing them to melt, shatter, or vaporize completely before they ever hit the ground. That's why scientists don't lose sleep over small debris. Small pieces of old satellites, even tools lost during spacewalks, fall all the time. But they burn up like shooting stars. We just never notice them. Now, a baseball would disintegrate instantly. But what about a giant ball designed to withstand landing on Venus? Thankfully, this potentially horrifying story is anticlimactic, because Cosmos crashed into the Indian Ocean west of Jakarta on May 10, 2025. Radar picked it up streaking through the sky, glowing, breaking, heating up, but still intact enough to make it all the way down. And it did, thankfully, not somewhere crowded. However, now that it's lost beneath the waves, we are free to speculate. How real was the danger? Could it have fallen into a crowded area? Absolutely. If that 1,000-pound capsule had come down over a city, it could have smashed through rooftops, wrecked cars, or worse, seriously injured someone. And no, there wouldn't have been sirens or alerts. Cosmos 482 was launched in the 1970s, long before GPS or live tracking, so there was no signal to follow, no proper guidance system. Scientists could only make rough estimates about where it might land, so if it had come down over land, it would have looked like a meteor. Well, the story of Cosmos, with the K, had a happy ending. But it's not the only thing up there that could fall down. As of early 2025, about 11,700 satellites are active. But with roughly 14,900 in orbit, that means over 3,000 are no longer operational. And the space junk keeps piling up. Space tracking systems monitor more than 40,000 objects that are bigger than a softball, such as pieces of old satellites and bits of rockets. Scientists estimate there are over 1 million fragments larger than a half an inch, and more than 100 million smaller bits still floating around. These can't hurt us down on Earth, but most of it clutters LEO, where collisions can generate explosive clouds of debris, damaging satellites and space stations. Just one crash can trigger a chain reaction called Kessler syndrome, where each impact creates more debris, leading to more collisions until Earth's orbit turns into a demolition derby. Remember the movie Gravity? Yeah, like that. And yes, bigger things from LEO do fall. Cosmos 482 wasn't the first space object to come crashing back. In 2016, Tiangong-1 space station lost contact and tumbled back to Earth 2 years later, eventually burning up over the Pacific. In 2001, the famous Mir station was intentionally brought down. And before that, in 1991, Salyut 7, another space station, unexpectedly deorbited. The 40-ton station broke up on re-entry, and parts that survived scattered over Argentina. Among others, in 1979, NASA's Skylab, the very first American space station, fell back to Earth with only partial control. Pieces of it rained down across Western Australia. Some newspapers even offered cash rewards to anyone who found a chunk. So, we've seen this happen before. Cosmos was just the latest reminder. But NASA and other space agencies do think about this problem. And most modern spacecraft designed to return have parachutes, heat shields, and built-in safety systems to guide them home. But not working satellites and old junk. Yeah, they're still up there. So next time, a space object might not land safely in the ocean. It might crash through your roof while you're watching a Brightside video. But don't worry.
There are tons of weird things on Mars. Spoons, noodles, doors, even faces. Are they all really just rocks? Besides, it's not the only planet in our solar system full of mysterious things. Let's check them out. Recently, we found a strange thing on Mars that looks like a smooth, spoon-like object. It grabbed everyone's attention after NASA's Curiosity rover spotted it. The rock, with a handle and rounded tip, looks like it's floating in the rover's photo. People on the internet are puzzled about what it might be. Some are joking that it's a Martian's bowling pin, or even a shoehorn left by extraterrestrial creatures. But Andrew Good from NASA says it's not that exciting. Turns out it's just a rock shaped by the wind over a long time. These kinds of rocks with odd shapes are common on Mars. They're called ventifacts. Ventifact is a rock that can get scratched, dented, or smoothed out by tiny particles carried by the wind. You'll usually find these kinds of rocks in dry places where there's not much grass or trees to block the wind, and where there's a lot of sand blowing around. Sometimes, the wind can carve ventifacts into really cool shapes, like the mushroom rocks you can see in the White Desert National Park in Egypt. These rocks look like giant mushrooms because the wind wears away the bottom part faster than the top, making them stand tall and slim. Ventifacts aren't the only cool Martian rocks. Check out this series of surreal spikes protruding from the red surface. NASA's Curiosity rover stumbled upon them while exploring the Gale crater on Mars. They quickly caught everyone's attention. Twisting structures resembling spikes looked like some extraterrestrial doors. Even the SETI Institute, an organization focused on searching for extraterrestrial life, tweeted about the image, referring to it as a cool rock. But in reality, these are just hoodoos. These tall and thin spires occur when hard rock sits atop softer rock layers. Martian spikes are likely cemented fillings of ancient fractures in sedimentary rock, with softer material eroded away over time. Again, there are many hoodoos on Earth too. They're also called fairy chimneys or tent rocks. You can find them in places like Utah's Bryce Canyon and the Colorado Plateau. NASA is excited about these weird structures because they can help us learn more about the history of the Gale crater. There was also a rock that looked like a jelly donut. We called this rock Pinnacle Island. It was spotted by NASA's cameras. However, just 4 days earlier, it was nowhere to be seen. So how did it magically disappear? In a very anticlimactic way, it was kicked up by one of Opportunity's wheels as it traversed the Martian terrain. But there's still some mystery surrounding that jelly donut. Analysis revealed that Pinnacle Island contains unusually high levels of sulfur and manganese. Both of these things are water-soluble. In other words, there might have been some water action that created these elements in the rock. So this tiny thing suddenly caused a lot of drama, and an entire lawsuit against NASA. It claimed that the agency failed to investigate a possible fungus growing on Mars. Jelly donut fungus. But not all our findings are natural. Another puzzling discovery was this thing the Perseverance rover spotted. It's something that looks like tangled spaghetti or string. Just like the donut, this mysterious object showed up in a rover camera image and then vanished from the sandy ground in several days. It turns out that it could be debris from the rover's landing system. Perseverance landed in the Jezero crater in February 2021. It had a rough landing and accidentally scattered debris around. Some of these debris pieces have been showing up in the rover's images for a while now. The string-like object is likely a piece of shredded Dacron netting, which is a type of fiber used in thermal blankets. These blankets help regulate equipment temperatures during the super hot process of landing on Mars. It probably underwent significant unraveling and shredding due to strong forces during the landing. Thermal blankets lost a bunch of stuff back then. For example, this shiny foil piece spotted in June. The rover found it on a rock. What's remarkable is how far some of the debris has traveled. The rover landed about 1.2 miles away from where it's currently exploring. It's probably because the crash threw the debris into the air, and the Martian winds carried it over such a distance. Mars is known for its strong winds, which can move lightweight objects. However, while it's fun to stumble upon them on images, there are concerns about the debris and trash on Mars. We haven't even fixed this problem on Earth, and we're already creating it on Mars. The debris we left on the red planet is already accumulating in an area called Hogwallow Flats. Plus, the debris can accidentally contaminate the sample tubes used for collecting Martian rocks. So far, NASA isn't overly worried about this, but they're keeping a close eye on it to prevent any issues with the rovers. Now, how about not things, but animals? Curiosity caused quite a stir when it captured something that looked like a rat on Mars. Some started speculating that it could be evidence of indigenous Martian life, or even that this rodent was brought along by Curiosity. But the Mars rat, once again, turned out to be just a weird rock. It looked interesting because of the natural processes like wind erosion and mechanical abrasion. We also found some worm-looking things. Curiosity snapped a picture of a formation that looks like worms wriggling across the Martian landscape. Despite its tiny size, this formation stands out with its unique shape and rough texture. It's probably made of durable material resistant to Mars's harsh erosion. And finally, our top mysterious finding is the face on Mars. Cydonia is a region on Mars that has captured both scientific and popular interest. It's located in Mars's northern hemisphere. It lies between heavily cratered regions to the south and relatively smooth plains to the north. There's a theory that the northern plains may have once been ocean beds. Maybe Cydonia was once a coastal zone. This place is full of interesting and beautiful features that tell us a lot about the history of the Red Planet. But its most interesting feature was the Martian face. This thing gained widespread attention when it was snapped by the Viking 1 orbiter in 1976. Some believed that it was evidence of a long-lost Martian civilization. At first, NASA dismissed it as a trick of light and shadow. But after some analysis, it turned out to be, yep, another rock. We also saw a face of a bear. It was captured by the high-resolution imaging experiment camera. In an image, we can see a circular fracture pattern that looks like a bear's head, with two craters forming the eyes and a V-shaped collapse structure like the nose. The head likely formed because something heavy settled on top of an old hole in the ground. This hole was filled with either lava or mud. The nose-like feature is speculated to be a volcanic or mud vent. But why do we keep seeing these strange things on Mars? Sometimes our brains can trick us into seeing things like faces or objects in rocks and other things. But these are just illusions called pareidolia. Pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon that makes us see familiar patterns or shapes, especially faces, where none actually exist. It's because the brain encounters something it doesn't recognize or understand right away. It tries to find things that look the most like this one. So it sees random patterns, textures, or sounds as something meaningful and recognizable. That's why a chair and clothes on it seems like a super creepy human-like figure at night. It also causes you to see faces or shapes in clouds, or hear recognizable sounds and even words in random noise. It's a fascinating proof of the power of our perception, but we also should be careful with it and not let our imagination run wild.
Attention, Earthlings! Yes, that would include you. Scientists have discovered a new member of the solar system. We officially have a new dwarf planet orbiting well beyond Neptune. But that's not all. Despite being small and unremarkable, this object, called 2017 OF201, I know it's a goofy name, might hold the key information about the speculated existence of Planet 9. Or, better said, it spoils the fun because instead of helping us find Planet 9, it could be the first tangible evidence that the theoretical ninth major planet was just that, a theory. But first, what exactly are dwarf planets, and why is this discovery so important? Well, in the early 21st century, researchers gained better telescopes and began discovering smaller, weirder celestial objects. It started with Eris in 2003, but the discovery of additional similar bodies led to Pluto losing its status as a, quote, true planet. To proudly carry the name of a planet, a space rock must check off 3 boxes. It must orbit the Sun, not another planet, like a moon would. It must be massive enough for its gravity to make it round. And it needs to be gravitationally dominant in its orbit. In other words, an object should be able to clear out most other objects in its path by absorbing them, slinging them away, or influencing them in some other way, like paying them off. Hey, just kidding. Imagine a giant, powerful truck driving in its own lane, pushing smaller cars aside. Hey, sounds like my commute. Although Pluto is orbiting the Sun and has the needed elliptical appearance, it's in the Kuiper Belt, a region full of icy objects. Because it can't clear its orbit, researchers realized that Pluto was not that different from many other similar bodies known as trans-Neptunian objects or TNOs. There are well over 5,000 known TNOs out there, with only 1,000 being officially numbered, meaning they've been studied enough to have their orbits confirmed. Now here's where it gets interesting. A while ago, scientists noted a pattern. Many of these minor planets shared similar paths and tilts. This inspired a theory that those objects were influenced by some still undiscovered Planet 9, also known as Planet X. The proposed super-Earth would have a mass 5 to 10 times greater than Earth's. It would orbit far on the outskirts, possibly as far as 500 astronomical units, and like an invisible puppeteer, manipulate the orbits of TNOs with its gravity. Some of these objects get classified as extreme trans-Neptunian objects. Let's just call them ETNOs for short. ETNOs are minor planets with an average distance of at least 150 astronomical units from the Sun. They have eccentric orbits, which can't be explained by the gravity of Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, or Jupiter. This led some scientists to conclude that Planet X must be out there. Ooh. As the years went by and more TNOs were discovered, scientists began to notice that those newly found objects didn't follow the previously established patterns. Many TNOs and ETNOs discovered in the last 5 to 6 years didn't match the same orbital parameters. Of the 6,000 objects found orbiting beyond 30 AU from the Sun, many show no signs of being influenced by a hidden planet. Well, despite that, scientists still hesitate to admit that Planet X is just wishful thinking. Not only is discovering something new exciting, but a planet like that could also protect us by pulling in asteroids from deep space. It could help explain why our solar system looks so different from many others, where super-Earths and mini-Neptunes are common. It might even solve how the solar system was formed, how objects got scattered, and what's still hiding in the dark. Discovering Planet 9 wouldn't just be cool, it could reshape everything we know about the solar system. However, with the discovery of 2017 OF201, actually that's still a mouthful, let's call it OFI from now on. With the discovery of OFI, the whole Planet 9 theory seems to be on its last legs. So, what makes OFI so special, and how does it affect the idea behind Planet 9? The newly discovered member of our solar system is estimated to be about 430 miles in diameter. This places it in the dwarf planet category, certainly larger than many other trans-Neptunian objects, but still about one-third the size of Pluto. What stands out most is its elongated orbit around the Sun. It takes at least 25,000 years to complete one revolution. Its orbit brings it as close as about 45 astronomical units from the Sun, which is similar to Pluto's distance, and extends out as far as 1600 AU at its most distant point. This means it travels far beyond the Kuiper belt and approaches the inner boundary of the Oort cloud. This orbit is not just extremely long, it's also highly eccentric, stretched out like a long oval. This puts it in a rare group of objects that travel to the most distant parts of our solar system. While there are objects with longer orbital periods, like comets that originate from the Oort cloud, they're much smaller than this newly discovered dwarf planet. But despite its relatively large size for such a distant object, ORFI is nearly undetectable. It spends most of its time hidden from Earth's view, far from the inner solar system and too faint for current telescopes to spot. In fact, astronomers estimate it's only visible for about 1% of its 25,000-year orbit. In fact, this new dwarf planet came closest to the Sun in 1930, the same year Pluto was discovered, yet it slipped away unnoticed. Nobody spotted it back then, and it only got discovered in May 2025 completely by accident. By digging through archived data from publicly available telescopes, researchers pieced together its location from 19 separate images taken over 7 years. That's impressive detective work. So, what does all of this mean for Planet X? The archive photos have revealed that this object's orbit does not match any of the orbital clustering previously used to support the Planet 9 hypothesis. It doesn't belong to the same group as other ETNOs, and, more importantly, if a hidden planet is really tugging on celestial bodies, ORFI should have been flung out of the solar system millions of years ago. If Planet 9 was where we speculated and had the predicted mass, then ORFI's current orbit wouldn't last. It would likely be altered or even destroyed within about 100 million years. However, its orbit appears stable and undisturbed, suggesting it has been like this for far longer. But wait, you exclaim. If the mysterious orbit of OFI is not caused by an invisible giant planet, what else could it be? Well, space is full of surprises, and gravity isn't exclusive to planets. One idea is that the orbit has been stretched over time by galactic tides. Just like the Moon pulls on Earth's oceans, the Milky Way galaxy itself pulls ever so gently on everything in the solar system. It's a slow, steady force. But if you're far out enough, like OFI is, even that gentle tug can twist your orbit over millions of years. Now, another possible explanation could be that a passing star may have come to our solar system a long time ago, especially during its formation. Back when the Sun was young and surrounded by newborn stars, one could have passed close enough to give some outer objects a gravitational nudge. That kind of flyby could have easily yanked an icy object into a stretched-out, tilted orbit. The third idea is that such unusual orbits are leftovers from the early solar system, when planets and debris were being flung all over the place. Some may have ended up in stable but extreme orbits, like OFI, the dwarf planet. If something really is pulling on these distant objects from outside our solar system, something like the galaxy itself, then we lack models to explain it. It's remarkable that we've managed to spot OFI in the first place. These objects only appear when close to the Sun, so we've likely seen just a fraction of what's out there. There could be hundreds or even thousands of similar rocks, all with strange orbits and mysterious origins. Which means the real mystery might not be a hidden planet, but the hidden world of space rocks quietly orbiting in the dark, waiting to be found.